It was Christmas morning, and I was like, I'm 77 miles away. It should probably be 3 or 4 days or something like that. And then all of a sudden, I just clicked into this flow state in my brain where just everything felt strong and powerful. And I decided, you know what? I'm going to see if I can go without stopping completely to the end. The sun never sets here. And so I did the last final 77 miles in this 32-hour flow state push in my body.
You should do an intro like Rogan. 4, 3, 2, 1. No, he doesn't say 1.
And we're live. Welcome back to Impaulsive, the #1 podcast in the world. Thank you guys for listening, watching, viewing, subscribing, blah, blah, blah. You heard it before. We do an audio-only extended Q&A with the guests after on Spotify and iTunes, so make sure you listen to that as well. Can you bring in this magical savior god dog? Broly. Oh, this is Broly's first time on the set of Impaulsive. As you guys know,
I literally cannot.
Yeah, we just got the cutest dog in the world, King Broly Blue. At Broly Blue on Instagram if you want to give him a follow.
He's drinking my water.
So
hey, Broly Spencer needs that. He ran a triathlon this morning.
Ahead, drink up.
If you could not.
Will you still drink it,
That's
Spencer?
okay, buddy.
These used to be Kong
Heck yeah,
stomping
dude.
grounds. It's kind of sad. Nah, but Broly's in the family now. He's not quite used to having like a body and stuff yet. He's really unathletic, unlike Mike, and unlike Spencer. How's everyone doing today? We all good? You look
Good.
wet.
I'm a little wet. I was on the bike like literally 10 minutes ago. I forgot about the podcast, man. I'm gonna be honest.
No.
No, I didn't.
You
Forget
got the
about
calendar invite.
it. I know. I lost my phone last
Are you a
night.
triathlete or a podcaster, Spencer?
You got to choose one.
A bit of both.
A bit of both? You can't be a bit of both.
I'm.
You got to choose one guy.
I lost my phone last night, and I had to go deep into the hood to get it.
The hood of a car?
No,
The hood, like Compton hood?
yeah.
What, you lost your phone
Like-
in the hood? What were you doing in the hood? in the
Okay,
first
so I
place?
got a lift to a party that I was going to in Malibu,
Yeah.
and then I left my phone in the car.
Was it a vegan party?
Yeah.
Oh, that's your problem.
It was. And the guy took it all the way back to his house and he sent me the address and it was like
Surprise, motherfucker.
middle of like East LA.
Surprise, motherfucker.
Yeah. And so I get there, I get out of my car. I'm like looking for this guy because he won't answer the phone and he just gets out of a like tinted car.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, dude, this is it.
You know what's worse than regular cars? Tinted
Tinted
cars.
cars.
Tinted cars, yeah.
Not tinted windows, the whole car.
No, the whole car was
But
tinted.
you got your phone now? You got it?
I got it, bro.
Oh, there we go.
I didn't die
so you're good
either.
to go. He got his phone. You know what's worse than that? Losing your phone sucks. You know what's worse than that? Much worse? Mike's middle name is Lauren.
Ooh,
His middle name is fucking Lauren.
that's rough.
And I can't believe I didn't know that.
My mom was obsessed with Ralph Lauren, and so she named me after the famous designer. She told me at a young age, 2 things never go out of style: being skinny and Ralph Lauren. So I rolled with both of them, and then I got fat. Fuck. But my middle name's still Lauren.
And,
I don't know.
and Ralph Lauren kind of fell off.
He kind of did a little. My mom fucked me.
You're saying it different than. Can you stop pressing that one, bro? It's just a little bit explicit.
Look out!
Okay. Who made Mike in charge of the soundboard? Producer Dylan, that was your call.
Yeah, that was his call.
You're saying it different. I noticed you're saying Lauren. Please say Lauren.
There's a tilde over it, over the E.
Oh, there is?
Yeah.
There's an accent aigu?
Yeah, there's not, but I'm saying there is for the show.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
You guys see Avengers?
Oh my god, so
Wow.
good.
It was a good movie, bro. It was really good. I would
Pretty
never
fire.
see it again. I'm not gonna lie. Little too slow, but the storyline was great. The acting was great. It was. I think the Russo brothers do a great job of making these characters who are larger than life, these superheroes, human. And like I found it incredible that people were crying multiple
Oh my
times
God, yeah.
during
George
a scene.
Janko. George Janko
Janko
cried basically the whole time. The girl next to me that did the recording for the soundboard, she was blubbering like a little seal.
I almost teared up.
I like didn't even want to look at her. I was embarrassed for myself and her, dude. She was
I almost teared up, but I can't say the part that I almost teared up at. I don't want to
Spoiler.
spoil anything.
People are posting spoilers without context on Twitter. It's
Yeah,
like
it's
a thing
rough.
right now.
Thor's fat.
I don't think you'd say that's a spoiler.
Sorry.
Alright.
We're doing a video, a vlog this week about the Avengers. And yeah, so we're all gonna dress up as the Avengers. Mike's gonna be the Hulk. You can see the resemblance. We're
Nice.
gonna paint him green. Hey, I got a question. I was out this weekend. I was doing my thing, and I was talking to a bartender, and I noticed some like immediately, I'm attracted to her. This happens often with bartenders and server people,
Yeah.
chicks.
Servants.
Are we extra attracted to bartenders and servers, like waitresses?
I feel like a lot of them, first off, are hired when they're very attractive too. Like they're in that position. They're there to bait you,
especially in LA. Oh my God, you're so right.
you just got baited,
It's
dog.
oh my God.
Well,
You
also,
bit the hook.
Well, also think about it. Think about the stage of life you're in most times when you see a bartender. Of course, they're more attractive.
Yeah.
You don't even know your name. You
You're
don't know where
horny.
you are, what's happening.
For sure
Of course,
horny.
they're beautiful. Wow, this is a beautiful woman. You're like, Logan, you are talking to a stuffed giraffe on this. Like, they're just, of course, they're beautiful. You
Yeah.
have beer goggles on, dude.
No, he's right. There's actually a reason for this, because I don't know, you love bottle girls.
Yeah, bottle
mean,
girls.
like,
I was
they're-
just in Vegas. There's millions of them.
Of course, they
Billions,
they
even.
populate Vegas. But there's actually a reason for this. This is from an expert. Her last name is Goldstein, and her first name is Meredith. She wrote. Goldstein believes that a more current reason people get starry-eyed for their local drink slinger is because so many of us these days are starved for in-real-life human interaction. You might go a whole day engaging with your own friends online, and it can be common to go long stretches of time without someone smiling at you and asking you what you want. The bar might be one of the few places in life where we still have that kind of exchange. Someone who just cares about what you want.
So what that tells me is we probably need to start replacing bartenders with like little iPads because they're the one outlier right now, and we need to like get this to fall.
We need to get rid of them.
Like you walk up, you hit like a thing on a pad, and it just orders the
Yeah.
drink,
Yeah.
and it comes out of a little conveyor belt to you.
They have that at some restaurants.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, it was. I believe it was a Fridays. I ordered the Bloomin' Onion. Was that Fridays?
Oh, no, it's Outback. Outback.
Yeah.
Bloomin' Onion's bomb. Coconut shrimp too. They're
Solid.
fire.
Hey,
Yeah.
should we bring on our guest?
Probably.
Probably.
We bullshitted a lot. Hey, this guest is dope, dude. I'm real pumped for this one, guys. I want to bring him on. He has climbed the highest mountain on every continent on Earth. He's a professional triathlete, and his Insta bio says he's the first to cross Antarctica solo, unsupported, and unaided. And when he's not traveling around the world as a motivational speaker, he's here on Impaulsive. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Colin O'Brady.
What up, baby?
Yo, what's good?
What up?
You're a legend. No, I mean that.
I appreciate that, man.
Of course, bro. Of course. You when you crossed Antarctica solo, what was it? 54 days?
54 days, all alone, dragging a 375-pound sled with all my food and gear and
Actually,
everything.
yeah,
no resupplies, no kites, no dogs, just mano y mano versus Antarctica. No one had ever completed that in history before.
Look at this picture. First off, this is crazy. Who took this picture?
That's actually me in Greenland training for
Oh,
Antarctica.
okay.
Believe it or not, that's actually a smaller sled. That's like 220 pounds, but my
No
Antarctica
way.
sled was almost twice that.
Am I
Yeah.
close?
God.
Can you
Yeah.
guide me to your
Yeah,
Antarctica setup?
Let's see. Scroll it back. Scroll it back a little bit.
Okay.
There's it right there.
Right here?
Yeah, that doesn't give the full vastness of it.
Who's
but,
taking these pictures? You
me.
set it up on a tripod?
You know a thing or two about blogging,
Yeah.
blogging. Take a picture of yourself.
Self-timer?
Yeah, so a lot of people on my Instagram while they're following along this project were like, "Yo, but he's got a film crew out there. He's doing that." I'm like, "No, I'm taking my gloves off, freezing my ass off,
yeah.
setting it up, and then walking past, coming back to it. It's a whole thing."
Good God.
I can imagine. I've shot. I'm from Ohio, and I've shot videos in the cold, like on Vine. We'd have to like press
Sure.
and hold with our thumb, and it would be so cold. How did your fingers not fall off constantly, like taking pictures with your phones or doing anything?
The average temperature in Antarctica is about minus 25, but when the wind kicks up, it was regularly minus 80-degree wind chill, which would give you frostbite in about 15, 20 seconds. So you're doing things
Dunzo.
quickly at the very least, and keeping all the cameras inside against the body to stay warm.
Don't they make those gloves that you can interact with your screen?
Oh, yeah.
If you wear them.
That is like a thing. However,
You didn't have-
not with like the big huge mitts. You know,
Yeah,
they haven't had the Antarctica version of that developed yet.
And you got hand warmers in there?
No hand warmers, no, because I too much weight to carry in the sled. So there was no resupplies the whole time. So I had to take everything with me at the beginning. And people have attempted this before. A couple people have died trying.
Really?
And that's because people have run out of food or run out of supplies or whatever, not made it to the end or gotten sick. And so yeah, no extra anything. I didn't even bring an extra pair of underwear. So one pair of underwear, 54 days.
You're lying. You're lying.
God.
Are you out of your mind, Colin?
Holy
Just bring an extra
crap.
pair.
It's grimy, man. But you know, I got to keep the most food I could get in the sled was was the difference.
And you can't call anyone, right?
I had a sat phone, so for emergencies, and I did check in with my wife periodically. She's amazing. She's not just a loving, supportive partner, but actually kind of dreams up these projects with me, runs everything in the background, logistics and everything, so I could connect with her. But yeah, I mean, basically alone in silence. The sun never sets in Antarctica, 24 hours of daylight. So yeah, it's a pretty expansive white nothingness, lost deep in your thoughts.
Did you get a break from your like husbandly duties while you're on this? Like, she didn't say like, honey, can you bring milk home when you come back?
Yeah, I think my life's not typically like that anyways.
Right.
But yeah,
you got a good one.
But it was nice. It was nice being out there, a little peaceful and calm, all alone, no one to tell you what to do. Not particularly my wife, but just in general, the distractions of daily life. I was able to go a little deeper, so it was nice in that way. But very lonely at times for sure.
This happens sometimes in my life. You're one of the few people like I'm sitting across from you. I don't even know like truly where to begin because this is wild. You've also, again, like I said in the intro, you've climbed the highest mountain on every continent on Earth. I believe you've summited, and by the way, faster than any human ever.
Correct.
Right, 139 days?
139 days,
What
yes.
is it?
So it's called the Explorers Grand Slam. So I set the speed record for what's called the 7 Summits, so climbing the tallest mountain on each of the 7 continents, as well as completing expeditions to both the North and South Pole. That collectively is known as the Explorers Grand Slam. And like fewer than 50 people in history had ever completed that. And in 2016, I became the fastest by not taking any breaks in between mountains. So 139 days straight through from the South Pole all the way, summit of Everest, Denali, Kilimanjaro, etc., back to back to back until it was done.
Can I ask you something, Colin? Are you out of your godforsaken mind?
Oh my God.
Oh, I like that sound effect. That's good.
Oh my God. No, seriously, what are you thinking? This is crazy.
It is. For me, I like pushing my body. I like finding the limits of human potential. I've seen your vlog a little bit. I know you like to do crazy stuff. This takes it on a different level, but really finding what it is inside of ourselves. Sometimes I think we have limiting beliefs. We tell ourselves we can't do this. It's too hard and whatever. And by sort of pushing these edges of human potential, I like to find my edges, but also to exemplify that for other people who are daring to dream greatly.
Have you found the edge? Have you found your edge? Like, was there a point there where you're like, wow, or on any of your expeditions where you were fearful for your own life?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a normal human being in that way. I go through the ups and downs, the struggles. Certainly, setting up your tent, 80 to 80 mile per hour winds. If I let go of the tent in Antarctica, no extra tent, boom, that flies away. I'm gone alone in the middle of nowhere. But a lot of this for me actually goes back about 11, 12 years ago. I'm going to make myself sound old here, but I think when I was more like your age.
No, how old are you?
How old do you think I am?
I'd say
26.
Early 30s.
22.
You want to venture a guess?
He's going to make a joke about me being old. It's coming up.
What?
I'm 34, man.
Let's go. Quality age, dude.
That's
Quality
right.
fucking
That's
age,
right.
dude.
So anyways, when I was 22, just after college, I was traveling around the world. I had a backpack and a surfboard, just bumming around, no money, but just wanted to see the world, hitchhiking around. And I found myself on this rural beach in Thailand. And I saw this flaming jump rope and thought that looked like a good idea. So I jumped this flaming jump rope.
Wait, what do you mean you saw a flaming jump rope?
Have you been to Thailand?
No.
This is common in Thailand.
You got to get
Flaming
out of the
jump
There's
rope,
laying
man.
around.
I completely made that up.
Have you ever left the valley?
No. I grew up here. I won't leave.
No, so yeah, exactly. It's common in Thailand. Flames, fire dancing, etc. My 22-year-old self looked like it was fun. So, big, huge rope, like when you're a kid, 2 people, 20-foot rope. I get underneath it. I'm jumping.
It's double Dutch.
Like double Dutch.
On fire, though.
Exactly.
Okay.
And, you could imagine doing that.
I actually could. It sounds like something I want to do.
Exactly. Well, don't. The rope wrapped around my legs and lit my body on fire completely to my neck. Kerosene sprayed my body. I jumped into the ocean, which extinguished the flames, which put out the fire, but not before about 25% of my body was severely burned. And I was in the middle of nowhere in Thailand, this small little island. So there's no hospital, a moped ride down a dirt path to a run room nursing station, like the size of this little room right here.
Were you alone?
I had been traveling alone at the time.
my God.
Had just met up with a buddy of mine, so he was there. But I was in this little hospital. There's like 8 surgeries, cat running around my bed and across my chest in the ICU in this like makeshift hospital. And the doctors were like, "Look, you'll never walk again normally. Like the way you've burned your legs, ankles, bones, everything." I think there actually might be. So if you scroll way down,
I actually saw it. I actually saw the picture.
there's
Here's
one up there.
Damn. Yeah, I have a
if you
serious
scroll
problem
to-
with these types of doctors. Like,
You
why?
scroll to the side. There we go.
yeah.
Oh my God.
Okay, that makes sense.
You don't have to
though.
leave that up there too long if you don't want. But
Oh my God. This is disgusting. I'm so sorry.
No,
that this happened.
How do you stay positive in a situation like that? Like you're bumming around, you're traveling all over the world, and you're in a hospital in Thailand. Like,
yeah, I mean,
What's
it
going
was
through your
it was
head?
a dark moment for me. Logan's question about fear and doubt. That was certainly the depth of despair for me. And I've been an athlete throughout my life, a collegiate swimmer. And being told you never walk again normally, obviously, it's devastating no matter who you are. But in that moment, really, the hero of this story is my mother, an incredible woman she is. She flew all the way over to Thailand, found me basically, and she wrapped me up in all this positivity. She was crying in the hallways with the doctors, pleading for good news. But she came into my hospital room every day with a smile on her face, saying like, Colin, like, what do you want to do when you get out of here? Let's set a goal, really just trying to just uplift me. And I guess you could appreciate that. I heard in the intro, you're a bit of a triathlete. So I've been a collegiate swimmer, and I actually closed my eyes one day and said, you know what, Mom? I'm going to race a triathlon one day. Not something I'd ever done before in my life, but I just kind of fixed my mind on this positive outcome. And so for the next few months, I didn't even walk. I was in this wheelchair, carried on and off the plane in Portland, Oregon when I got home. And then my mom just like, look, you got to learn how to walk again. So she put a chair one step in front of my wheelchair and she said, you got to take your first step today. So I took, after 3 months of not walking, taking, 3 hours to take one step. And the next day I could take a few more steps. The next after that. So long story short, 18 months later, learning how to walk again, just thinking in my mind, I'm going to race a triathlon. I'm going to figure out how to do this. I signed up for the Chicago Triathlon and, finished the race. And to my complete and utter surprise, I hadn't just finished the race, but I actually won the entire triathlon, beating about 4,000 or 5,000 other people.
Oh my God.
And that was kind of the beginning of all this, of going like, wow, like as humans, not just myself, but as humans, we have these reservoirs of untapped potential inside of us to achieve amazing things. Like what else, if I set my mind to, can I go after? And that's kind of been iterative in being a professional triathlete and then going on to do these world records in the mountains and Antarctica and et cetera, of just this constant exploration of those edges.
I really like what you said there about humans having reservoirs of untapped potential. We had Charlie Rocket on our last podcast, and he probably like you has the same level of manifestation type of belief.
Yeah.
But reservoirs of untapped potential, I really like that because it's so true. I feel like people aren't pushing themselves to live their full life to the best that they can. But
Why do you think that is?
I believe that the system is breeding people to conform. And I don't think anything great happened by people conforming.
I agree with that
Yeah.
for sure.
You know
I
what I'm saying?
also just feel like some people just don't want to. Like some people just don't. They just want to have fun. Like they want to just hang out, watch movies, like have a wife, do whatever.
Totally.
Like
Yeah.
just chill out.
Yeah,
bro.
the
Like,
comfort zone.
But
The thing
is
is,
that
like,
but is that because society tells you like that's what
I don't know.
a life should look like?
No, I don't know. I don't know what the subconscious reason is for it, but I think like there are people out there who always like type A people that will always strive to do the best they can, overcome adversity, like go drive above and beyond. And then there are some people that just want to, hang out with their friends, crack some PBRs on the weekends, get a couple burgers at Shake Shack.
I
fuck
still like
around.
cracking a few
I was
PBRs
gonna
on the
ask.
weekends as well.
Of course. But I mean, like, I guess at the end of the day, it's just different strokes for different folks. You know
Yeah,
what I'm saying?
absolutely. But I do believe that, there is something in our society around kind of finding the middle,
sure.
finding comfort, just like you said, just being able to sit on the couch. And I think that a lot of that, at least for me, when I look back on that burn accident, yes, it was a huge mistake in my life, but I learned so much from that failure and that tragedy. But I think oftentimes when we face adversity, no matter who you are, we're going to face hard times in life, right? Ups and downs. Like that's just the way it goes. But it's how you react to that. It's that choice to say like, wow, I actually, when things come bad my way, I get to choose how I move forwards with this. And a lot of people get in that negative fear loop in their mind and goes, you know what? I can't, I'm not worthy. I'm not good enough. I can't create this. I mean, I know you had a hard time last year, man. I don't want to bring that up, but it seems like you've bounced back from that in a meaningful way to go like, wait, okay, maybe I fucked up, but how am I going to grow? How am I going to evolve from this? How am I going to become a better person from this? And that's the beauty of life. It's not about, someone said to me recently, they said, the road to success is paved in mistakes managed well, failures managed well, or something like that. Yeah. Which I think is a great way. It's not about not failing. It's going like, I am going to fail, but how do I react in those moments when I make a mistake, things don't go my way, and continue to build forward in a positive way?
It's funny you say that. Everyone we've had on this podcast, the guests I find most interesting, who I'm most intrigued by and have the best conversations with, are the guests who have been through shit, the guests who have failed, made mistakes. Just because it gives you a 360-degree complexity that I'm attracted to. I'm attracted to you, Colin.
Yes. right back at you. Staring right in the eyes.
Hey, thanks, man. But
I want to ask one question too
Yeah.
before we get off the jump rope. Had you been injured before that in your life ever, like badly?
Not on that level. You know, I've like broken a few bones, just like being a knucklehead kid. I, cracked a wrist, falling off a bike, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But on that level, never had like a surgery or a major injury like that. That was definitely another level. And burn injury is weird, right? Like, what, like scrapes and bruises or something like that. But burn, the skin is 25% of your body. It's the largest organ in your body. So you're seeping out proteins. It's like, I didn't even know how to process that in my mind, let alone the pain of that is just, all the nerve endings are exposed.
you still have scars from that?
Considering how bad those photos are, not so bad, to be perfectly honest.
You had grafts and stuff.
Yeah, I had a few grafts, but mostly because of where I wasn't able to get like the full kind of medical burn treatment that you would normally get. Because by the time I got to the United States, it was kind of too late for a lot of that. So, but all things considered, man, it's not the first thing people notice when I'm wearing, shorts. But I would point out, you're like, oh shit, yeah, there's definitely scars there. But but it's not as bad as you might think. I got really lucky.
So is that the burn accident? Is that the worst thing that's happened to you? The scariest thing that's happened to you in your life? Because like a lot of the stuff you do, I was going to ask kind of a second question. I feel like you're sort of gambling with death, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
A lot of people have died doing the stuff that you've done.
Yeah. Yeah, I believe it or not, whether you could take my word for it, I don't really think of myself as a thrill seeker, as like a risk taker. I think of myself as more of managing risk, which is I don't let risky things stop me from pursuing my passions. But I think to myself, how can I prepare? How can I get ready for this? So when I studied the Antarctica project, which people have been attempting in various forms for about 100 years, and most notably over the last few years, a guy made it 900 miles across, 100 miles from the finish line after 71 days and fell ill and died. And another guy a couple years later, really renowned polar explorer, made it 55 days in and ran low on food and had to be rescued and pulled out of there. So I'm like, what are they doing wrong? Where did they get into rough shape? And so for me, I figured it was actually around food and health and nutrition. I come from my parents are in the food industry. My dad's an organic farmer in Hawaii. Mm-hmm. And so for me, it was like, can we figure this out through like optimized health and nutrition? Maybe these guys weren't treating their bodies right enough. So I actually spent a year in a lab, studying food, finding out all my food sensitivities, like with all these doctors and, nutritionists and stuff. And so for me, it's just an example of like preparing in a way. Is it dangerous? Yes. Did I run low on food? Yes. Was I 30 pounds lighter with my hips and ribs like protruding at the end because I couldn't carry enough food? Absolutely.
Wow.
But I figured out just enough of an edge to make the sort of up for the mistakes that some of those people made along the way. And so to me, it's risky, but also I think preparation goes into that. I mean, on Everest, the day I summited Everest, 3 people died that day. The exact same day that I was up there, 3 people died. Not anyone I knew who I was climbing with. From exposure to the high altitude. Yeah. So sometimes people are moving so slowly up there that they run out of supplemental oxygen and they get what's called cerebral or pulmonary edema, where your chest or brain fills with fluid and that's it.
God.
So again, that could happen to anyone, but at the same time, I trained my body to be prepared for that environment. And I'm not impervious to challenges, death, all these things that could happen in these environments. But also, I also choose to live my life, I guess, with optimism, going like, I also drive a car around LA to get here. You know what I mean? Like I get hit by a car doing that. Yes, it's easy when you're in the Himalayas to go, an avalanche could come, or I could die up here or something like that. But like that could happen in all sorts of other weird ways. My stepfather, who's a huge influence in my life, when he was 16, he was just taking the L train in Chicago, got bumped off the platform, ran over by the L train. And fortunately, he survived with no like crazy injuries, but they thought they were pulling a dead body out of there. And he was like, look, like life's too short. He literally was on his way to Ivy League college, decided to not go to college, moved to Oregon and start a hippie commune because he was just like, you know what, life's too short. I'm just gonna do what I want to do like right now. And so I take a lot from that and my experiences that led me down that same path, which is carpe diem. Like this, we only got one life. Let's get after it.
How important is it I'd like to hear from both of you, like in deviating? Like there's that standard path, there's that path of societal programming, and you leave it at some point. You know what I mean? Like how did you guys get the courage to actually deviate from the path?
I'd love to hear your answer to that.
I grew up working hard. Like that's the one thing I know I can always fall back on. It's an edge I'll always have over everyone. I know I work my ass off. And Jake, my brother, always said when we were like coming out here to LA, he would say hard work beats talent. And I argued him for some time, but I started to realize that's not true. Hard work is one of the rarest assets to find out here. And I was confident in myself knowing that if I did go off the beaten path, is that what the saying is?
Yeah.
Go off the beaten path.
That's it.
I was confident that I could make it happen for myself because of how much I believed in myself. It all started with that. Whether that was like a thing with parenting and how my mother and father raised me, I just never had that doubt.
Yeah,
I had
it probably was influenced by your parents, but you still made that decision. You know, like at some point you have to like sack up and make that decision. So I find it fascinating with people who just decide. Like, you make that decision. Like, yo, I'm gonna bounce. I'm gonna go travel the country and bum off couches and just do something different. Like, there's no guaranteed plan. There's no idea of what future you have, but you're sitting here on #1 podcast in the world and you've summited mountains all over the world. Like, that's fascinating to me. It just blows my mind to hear that, the confidence that it takes to deviate and what comes as a result of that.
Yeah, I mean, I can relate to the hard work ethic. I think that's a big part of it. But I think it's interesting. There's some parallels for sure. You know, for me, I grew up in Portland, Oregon. Didn't grow up with a lot of money when I was a kid. You know, I was really into swimming, which ultimately got me into college at Yale University. Like, I was not. That was not my path. Like an Ivy League path. Like when the Yale swim coach called to recruit me, literally they were like, "Hi, we're calling to recruit you from Yale," and I was like, "So where is that?" Like, and my mom's like going like,
Tell him where it is.
New Haven, Connecticut.
And tell him who has the best pizza in the world.
Pepe. That's right. So anyways, obviously that's an incredible opportunity for an amazing education and all this, but I'm 17 years old when I go off to college. So I was super young for my grade. I show up there at 17, you know, public school kid from Portland, Oregon shows up in New Haven, and all these guys are like, you know, I'm going to be an iBanker. And I'm like, an I what? You know, like I didn't even know what investment banking was. Like that's how like foreign that sort of whole prep school Northeast world was to me at the time. Now I've gained a lot of respect from that. I appreciate my education, but as all these guys are going off, they're like, you know, I'm going to get my job out of college. You know, this is going to make me sound old, but 2006 pre-credit crisis, you know, Wall Street was high on its hog, you know, getting those jobs, you know, 22 years old, making 120, 150 grand a year, you know, it's a lot of money, particularly for someone like myself who grew up with very little. But I was like, but you have to sit at the desk for like 100 hours a week.
Yeah.
Like it was like not that I don't want to work hard, but like they're like, what is the life? And I remember actually visiting a buddy of mine who had graduated a year ahead of me, and I went and visited his apartment in New York City. He had this like fancy job at a big investment bank, and I go to his house and he's got like a mattress on the floor and nothing. And I'm like, how much you pay for this apartment? He's like, oh, it's like $4,000 a month. New York's expensive. And I was like, but there's nothing in it. He's like, yeah, but I'm literally never here because I just sleep at the office and I'm this, and I'm going like, you know, it's I think for some people that's the right path, but I looked at that and I was like, you know what? Like there's something different for me. And I had this wanderlust of travel, and I thought to myself, I was like, if I put myself in unique and interesting environments, if I travel, if I meet new people, if I have no money, but even if I get burned in a fire in Thailand, which ultimately happened, like I'm learning so much through that process about myself, about where I want to go. And I imagine for you, I don't know you super well, but similar, where you're just like, I'm going to keep trying. I'm going to keep inventing. I'm going to work hard. And you're not sitting with your feet up doing nothing. You don't necessarily know where the path goes. I love Steve Jobs' quote from his Stanford graduation speech. It goes, the dots don't necessarily connect forwards, but they can connect looking backwards. And so I've kind of had that thought of like, if I go climb mountains, or if I race triathlon around the world, or if I, you know, take this random whim, you know, I've had many setbacks and failures along the way, but they've all sort of added up to a unique and beautiful life that has ultimately turned into a lucrative career and you know, something that I'm proud of. But in the beginning of that race, my friends with the investment banking jobs had more money and seemed like they had a cooler life. Now, you know, I go back to my 10, 15-year college reunion and they're like, oh man, I see your pictures on Instagram. I fucking wish I could do something like that, you know? And so it evens out the long run. So, I mean, when I'm talking to young people, it's like, hey, the road less traveled, oftentimes it's a little more uncertain, but it doesn't necessarily lead to where you were talking around complacency of just being like, I sit here on my couch and crack PBRs on Friday, waiting for the weekend or that kind of thing, you know, living a full life.
I think one of the biggest things you can do is, even if you are an iBanker or an accountant, whatever, is just start to slowly expose yourself to those things.
Totally.
Like, yo, jumping ship is not always a viable solution for people in life. We've talked about this on the show before. Some people have debt, they have kids, they have things that make it very hard for them to go and just say, okay, I'm giving up my job at the bank and I'm going to go hike or climb. But you know what? Do a little bit of it. Expose yourself to different things every year. 100%. See what you like. And right now, in 2019, we live in a society where you can literally turn nothing into something easier than ever before in the history of this world, through YouTube, through Instagram,
technology,
through e-com, technology, whatever you want to do, you can go out there and do it. If you want to be the best hiker in the world and start an Instagram page or a YouTube channel hiking, and find a niche, do something that no one else is doing and own that space. You could do a new niche is born every single day on this planet and you can own it right now, literally.
And that's to say too, I think that there are people doing investment banking, people in law, doctors, whatever, who are like, that's what they want to be doing.
They want to do
and
that.
So to me, I'm like, hell yeah, if you want to do that, do that. But don't be the person that like didn't want to do that, thought you should do it, and then kept going down that path. If there's a different niche that strikes your fancy, like go after that. And I agree with you, jumping ship like tomorrow, it's like fairly unrealistic, and what I've built has developed over time for sure. But yeah, I agree. I think it's more so conforming in a way that you think you should or shouldn't do because it's the right thing. Ultimately leads to an unfulfilled life, in general.
You sound like a delusional optimist. That's what Charlie Rocket
winning
called it.
streak.
And I feel like one too. Like, yo, if I always joke, and that's not a joke though. If you took everything from me, like stripped me of everything, literally as long as I have like a tree, I grew up in a fucking tree and I can like chop wood, bro. Like I'm cruising. But I do want people to take what you're saying, what you're both saying with a grain of salt, because this fascinates me too. There's thousands of Colin O'Bradys who didn't become Colin O'Brady. There's thousands of Logan Pauls who did drop out of college to pursue their goal of becoming an internet star, who didn't make it.
So what do you think the difference has been?
I don't know. I really don't know. Like why me?
I do.
Why me?
Hard
why
work.
you? But a lot of people work hard, man. Like not a.
I think
let's talk about luck
belief
for a
is a big thing too.
I think
let's talk about.
I think it's luck, dude.
Let's talk about luck for a second.
Is
because
luck real?
Do you think that there is luck, meaning like there was a bit of thousands that could have been you, and you just kind of like randomly, fate, timing, whatever that, or do you think that you created your own luck in a more sort of meaningful way? Not to say you haven't gotten some good turns along the way, but
I created my luck. I don't really believe in like good luck. Like, oh, I got lucky. Like you win the lottery, you get lucky. You know what I'm saying? But like me, man, I remember the days when I was sliding into people's DMs, like the Facebook like best Vines page with like 18 million followers, and I was like, hey, my name's Logan. Check out this Vine I just made. I think it's pretty funny. Maybe you could post it. And like I sent hundreds of those, and eventually like one of them posted it, and I was like, oh my god, it got saw by like it's seen by 50,000 people. And so there was that creative hump that I had to overcome to get seen and be noticed, to do what I wanted to do.
And I think you're undervaluing that first step. That's a vulnerable thing to message people and be like, hey, my thing's cool, right? Like, you know how many people like maybe film something or funny or as creative as what you've done, but are like, yeah, like they're going to laugh at me, or the guy's not going to post me, or like, and they're just like, then they just never do it. You know what I mean? Like, so that is actually, I think, not an important.
It comes down to happiness too, because you don't have to be as big as you guys to ultimately get that sense of purpose and 100%. Happiness out of your life.
Bro, I had 10,000 followers. I was stoked.
Right.
That was the greatest day of my life.
So there's a lot of people.
That was amazing.
There's a lot of people that deviate from their path, or like if they're a banker or whatever they were, and they have 10,000 followers and they're set.
Yeah.
If they're traveling, they're making enough to go and see the world. Like you don't have to pressure yourself to be at somebody else's level. I think that's another big thing too.
So big right now.
Like, just be happy with where you're at. And I think the people who really fail and fall off that path of their passion is because they're so stuck comparing themselves to other people. The people who make it to this level are the ones that are just happy. They're totally cool with themselves.
Absolutely.
There's no question, to your point though, that that first step that you're talking about, that DM slide, that is the only guaranteed pertinent step in the process.
Yes.
Guaranteed. If you don't take the first step and put your first video out or slide in your first Facebook DM or do any of those things, the sails on your ship that might be filled with luck and confidence later, the boat never leaves the station. You're stuck
100%.
there. So until you do something and take the first step, I remember when I started taking photos after I first gotten clean and started to get my life together, I started taking photos. I bought a Canon. I started taking pictures of stuff. A month later, I started telling people I am a wedding photographer. And I made business cards that said wedding photography. Then people started hiring me for weddings. And then I said, hey, drones, the DJI One Phantom came out, I bought a drone. And I said, I do aerial cinematography for weddings. And they said, oh, well, I'll pay you $7,000 to do aerial videography at my wedding. So I started flying drones over people as they walk down the aisle. And I was never trying photography. I was just a photographer. So until you take that first step, start to believe in yourself and do things to put the sails up to get filled with luck later, nothing will ever happen.
And I
have to take the first
I think
step.
you're under, like the to me, what I hear from that story was I made business cards that said I was a wedding photographer.
I was already
like, you know what I mean? Like that, like it
was
that sounds like
hilarious.
simple, but you're like, yo, that costs you like whatever,
Yeah.
$50 maybe, but it's like, oh, I'm actually this. Like I
Yeah.
have a business card. It says I'm this.
I wasn't trying it. I was it. And,
Right,
and then the
where-
same thing happened for social media too.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, trust me, when Logan Paul slid into my DMs, I felt pretty honored, you know?
I did. I was going to right after you did this, but I figured you were getting hit up by everyone.
It's
you
been madness.
were. Because I saw you on Rogan like 2 weeks after or some
Yeah.
shit, and I was like, "Fucking Rogan got him." God
Damn
bless
it.
And then didn't one of you suggest hitting him up? Andre did.
Andre.
And I was like, "Oh yeah, he's sick." Okay, yo, I want to talk about this little the Antarctic expedition.
Yes.
When you saw the edge of the Earth, what was that like?
Here we go.
Here we go. This is
Here
what
we
I figured
go.
we were, for this whole was just a pandering to get to this point.
He said the word edge 15 times already today. And I was like, when is he going to turn this page, dude?
So
Tell us about the NASA rogue agents that stopped you.
So,
Please.
as you mentioned, there have been a lot of, press and media and all sorts of things around this project, which is very humbling. But when I got back to my hometown of Portland, Oregon, probably one of my more favorite, although smaller engagements was the mayor called a press conference to announce that December 26th, from furthermore into the future in Portland, Oregon, my hometown, is no longer the day after Christmas, but it's now Colin O'Brady Day.
Amazing. Nice. Round of applause. That's incredible.
So trust me, I'm getting back to the flat Earth. But so that happens. It's a big press conference. It's great. He's actually our mayor has climbed Mount Everest. He's a badass.
wow.
Guy named Ted Wheeler, great guy. Anyways, so there's a Q&A, kind of open forum, town hall type of thing. People are asking me all sorts of questions. How'd you go to the bathroom in Antarctica? How cold is it? Did you see penguins? All the things that people want to know.
I actually want to know the answers to all
Yeah,
those
so
questions.
we can answer them in a second. And then afterwards, the event wraps up. And this guy walks up to me afterwards. He says, "Hey, I really just wanted to wait for kind of a private forum to ask you this question. I just want to shake your hand. Congratulations. So let's talk real now."
Oh, shit.
He's like, 100% earnest. He's like, "So, how was the wall? What'd you bring to climb the wall?"
You were like,
And I was like, "Ha ha ha!" Like I was like, "This is hilarious!" Like I thought I was joking. And then I was like,
why is that one so long? Why is that one so long, dude?
The crickets. The crickets. I was like, ha, and I was like, oh,
You're serious.
dead serious.
Oh, wow.
Man. You
Wow.
are dead serious.
Yo, so for those, just let me give some context. The flat earthers, aka the people who believe the earth is flat, believe that the edge of the earth is surrounded by a giant ice wall, 200 feet tall, and that Antarctica cannot be crossed, and that once you go a certain distance, you will see the edge.
Yes.
So,
So all said by people who've never been there.
By the way, I laugh at all of this kind of half-heartedly because I actually had a friend
oh no,
by the name of Pete.
Take a deep breath. Take a deep breath. I want to hear this with a straight
He
face.
fell off the side. He fell off the side of the flat Earth, dude.
look out! Okay,
God, dude.
but you were getting shit from flat earthers.
Oh, it's like a real thing, man.
Oh, it's very
yeah.
real.
I mean, you
Oh.
can tell me more about it than anyone, suppose, but yeah, man, it's a real thing. I mean, people were like, "Yo," and then people, but it's crazy. I feel like they just kind of chew their like his GPS. There's like a whole thing actually in Forbes, not like some random thing. Like Forbes ran an article that was like, Colin O'Brady's project is in question because the Earth is flat, thought by this, and was like, wait, what? Like, and then they said his GPS coordinates weren't posted, whatever. Which like, I literally in the link of my bio of my
You could
Instagram
see
page the
your
entire
whole
time, so you
journey.
could literally see in any minute where I was, like exact latitude and longitude, which is still posted on my website, by the way. But they're like, oh no, but that just shows that GPS is wrong, or that like no matter what you say,
it's always something wrong with
They
it.
will argue that till the day they go in the grave.
Yeah.
If NASA reprogrammed your GPS to fire back wrong,
And your brain.
and your brain. Make a literal statement right now to that camera that Andre's running.
I walked 1,000 miles from the coast to coast via the South Pole of Antarctica, and there was no wall, there was no edge. I just kind of kept going until the other side happened because Antarctica is a circle. And,
It's round.
That's a fact.
It's round like
The
a
earth
flat
is
earth.
round.
Facts.
Yo, that is so funny to me.
Wow.
Because people will still debate you and
Oh, yeah.
negate you
All day long.
for the rest of their life.
All day long.
Yo, get with the shit. It's over.
You lost.
You lost. The
Give
movement
up. Move on to something else. Area 51, something. Reptilian overlords. I don't care what it is.
But this whole permitting thing is crazy. They're like, the government controls it. The this,
Any
the
of that true?
It's all life. You're a part of the, like this biggest conspiracy.
Yeah.
How much did they pay you? Like,
Was there any government thing or like?
I mean,
did you just pull up and wreck?
so Antarctica is actually pull up and rack. Antarctica is actually, I think this is really unique. I'm big into conserving the environment. And Antarctica, no one owns Antarctica. 12 countries, there's 12 signatory countries, and it's the only place in the world that has never seen war. So it's kind of a weird thing to think about, but it's actually pretty special. So it's been preserved in this way. 12 countries have kind of come together to kind of like self-govern it. But essentially, yes, there is government research that happens there. You do need the right permits to be able to be in Antarctica, but it's not something that like you can't get. Like you can apply and get the permits and do the right paperwork.
Did you get the permit?
Yeah, it's not like you could do it anyway. And it's like,
What is so the question is this: what is stopping them from going? What is stopping them from bringing a camera? By the way, I'm so into this now at this point that I personally almost want to pay for them to go. Personally, I'm not even fucking playing, dude. I want to go into my Bank of America account, which is overdrafted, take enough money out to send these assholes to fucking Antarctica to see the wall, bro.
It seems like if there was a wall, you would just get there and take a picture.
No, because they won't do it because they know that they're gonna go. The wall ain't gonna be there, and all of their lucrative money-making event shit is gonna die immediately.
I heard Logan Paul was taking a cruise ship across to prove that the Earth was flat.
That was like a week. That was 1 week before our documentary dropped, and everyone realized we were fucking with everyone.
Brilliant, by the way.
Thanks, man. Thank you.
I think it's like a bigger societal issue though. Outside just flat Earth, like people jumping on things like just without going and doing it and seeing it or experiencing it or going through what that person went through that you're accusing them of.
It's the echo chamber, right? Like you could just go talk to the same 100 people that believe the same random thing that you, and then you feel like everyone in your whole world.
Yeah.
Oh, obviously, of course.
Yo,
Earth is flat.
When we were at the conference, at the end when we were done shooting, by the way, I went insane. I passed out for the first time in my life.
Flat on his face.
I was questioning. I was like,
You were
yo,
like,
I
no.
was like, yo, what if it is? Bro? Like, I was surrounded by them for just too long, and I started reading Robbie Davidson's book, and I was like, yo, what if it is?
What was
bro?
the most compelling argument where you were like,
Honestly, the most and by the way, I want to say I was high as fuck. Like I was not in the right state.
Yeah.
I was high.
Yeah.
We smoked a lot. Anyways, and the altitude. Anyways, the most compelling argument, to be honest, is when they say the NASA photos like are photoshopped or composites, just because that's something like technically we are like fed these images.
True.
And like technically NASA could be some weird conspiracy program.
I'm kind of starting to be convinced, maybe.
Well, stop. Don't say that. Well, the thing is, supposedly too, that there's potentially the first photos that were taken in the late 60s could have been composite because we were in this thing with the Russians and everybody was in this space race. So who knows? But honestly, like, have we not gotten to a point now where there's not other photography, other stuff other than just NASA? Like,
I mean, you're a master drone photographer. You could just fly the drone.
You could just,
You could just fly the drone.
I'm not just a drone photographer. I'm a space drone videographer. I just made a new business card. Wait, I want to talking about echo chambers and talking about lies.
Okay.
Not to get crazy political, but Trump went on stage 2 days ago. He skipped the Correspondence Center. He went on stage in Wisconsin and said that babies are born in Wisconsin.
That's true.
They're taken from the mothers.
So
and when abortions go wrong, they take the live baby, they bundle it up beautifully, a beautiful baby. And then he said, and then the doctor makes a decision whether or not we'll execute it. And he made this motion. And everyone in the crowd went, they're using guillotines on babies in Wisconsin? Oh no.
Yo, this is not a true story. This did not happen.
I'm sorry. Look it up, brother. Pull the video up, actually. Let's watch it.
It doesn't surprise me
And so
at all.
to the point of echo chambers, whether it's him, whether it's the two dudes that were about to frame the Democratic guy for being like a pedophile or whatever, if you put anything out there right now, some morons will eat that shit, dude.
Trump has a new go-to lie about abortion, and it's horrific.
Born alive. Born alive. The baby is born.
Here we go.
The mother meets with the doctor. They take care of the baby. They wrap the baby beautifully.
No,
And
your
then
impression
the
was good.
doctor and the mother determine whether or not they will execute the baby.
No.
I don't think so.
Oh no.
Wait, hold on. Does he
No,
do
it's
the guillotine?
He says it's
Until the
incredible.
crazy man in Virginia said it, nobody even thought of that, right? Did anyone even think of that? You hear late term. But this is where the baby is actually born. It came out. It's there. It's wrapped.
Slice.
Oh,
gone.
slice.
And there goes the head. The baby's head rolls away. And the dude with the black mask from the olden times comes and grabs the baby's head, bro, and sticks it on a fucking stake, dude, over the top of the castle. Good God.
Yeah, well, political theater.
Yeah.
We are living in a fucking shit show, folks.
I don't think we are.
I love 2019.
Your optimism is
fake,
incredible, bro.
It's so fake. Like it's just so mind numbing. Like even like paying attention to it,
Yeah,
even
but-
giving it energy, it
but
like doesn't matter. There's such a
almost
new
more-
reality being built that it doesn't require politics to be built.
Want to hear something about that new reality? They're saying he's got 2020 locked.
But that's what I'm saying. It doesn't require politics to be built. Like
Oh, you're saying
politics are just like this compared to what's being built.
That's true. I like that note.
Like it's such a
like where
waste
your
of
head's at.
time, bro.
Yeah.
It's such a waste of time. That has 1.74 million views. Our last vlog has like 3 times that.
Facts.
What's good, bro?
No,
Like
I-
it's such
family,
a
Broly.
it's such a,
No, I get
it's
it.
such a mind-numbing
I get
thing
it.
to focus on.
I get it,
you
but
know?
at the same time, the views on his vlog didn't spend $3 trillion on military last year.
That's
I
where
have
you're
to pay-
wrong.
That I have to pay for with my taxes.
That's where you're wrong.
He actually bought 7 warships. That's why we can't eat. It was a poor financial investment.
Poor.
We don't even have anybody to man the ships. We don't have any ammunition. Like
Didn't
they're
you
just
make-
warships.
Didn't you make Dwarf Mamba the admiral of your navy?
I thought he'd be good, bro. Anyways,
Damn, a Logan Paul army.
I mean, it exists called the Low Gang. You don't
True.
fuck with them.
you don't fuck with him.
Should we get some warships?
Yeah.
That's the next investment.
I think so.
Hey, man, you're awesome. Hey, what was it like to masturbate below 40?
Well, let's get real into it.
Like,
Let's
I
get real into
gotta
it.
know. You can't tell me you didn't go 54 days without jerking off.
I hate to sort of really, kind of spoil your wet dream about me in my tent all alone, but
Don't
abstained.
No,
Abstained.
no, I don't believe you.
And I'll tell you why. Honestly, man, I was so tired and so hungry.
Really?
That like my body wasn't really functioning at an
Yo,
optimal level.
But not
Yeah.
even one time for this. One time.
One time for the squad, bro. For the culture.
Like you didn't see any hot snow bunnies out there that really got you.
And then
got you
and let
cooking?
me put the other thing is that to save on weight, I actually only brought one pair of underwear, I said, but only 10 wet wipes with me for the entire journey.
Oh my
for real,
God.
sort of,
Oh, I thought
So you had a
emergency,
dirty
so-
ass crossing Antarctica,
very,
bro.
very, very.
I thought you were
very.
gonna say to save on weight, you didn't bring your dick. Everything you left at home.
That would have been heavy. That would have saved a lot of weight.
What was the diet like? Like, what did you eat?
Well, I told you I went to this lab and they actually
Yeah.
created these bars that they called the Colin bars. My sponsor, Standard Process, is a whole food supplement company, and they created these custom bars, but it was all whole food, sort of plant-based nutrition. So it was, coconut oil, nuts, seeds, sort of really specific to what my body kind of needs and takes. And then on the other side of that, I ate some freeze-dried oatmeal, stuff like that. But
You're
it's pretty-
talking
pretty
Spencer.
basic.
You're
Wow.
talking Spencer's
Were you-
language
yeah.
right now.
We just geek out
He's,
right here.
he's about to jerk off right now.
Yeah.
If you keep talking about all those plans.
I already did. You didn't even see.
So wait, you were vegan on the trip?
Pretty much plant-based. Yep.
Wow.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's dope.
Yeah.
I'm starting to get a new.
See vegans crossing Antarctica. What's up?
I saw you do that boxing thing, man. When was
did.
that? When was that fight?
I was last August.
Last August.
Doing it again in November.
All right. How'd you get swole for that?
I went vegan.
You did?
Yeah, but I lost too much weight, so I had to eat meat the last month. Like, bro, I lost so much weight. When I'm older, I think I'm gonna be.
You got to
vegan.
cut weight for that. You got to be a specific weight class for the fight.
I don't really know, to be honest. We were just like, yo, let's like try to shoot around 190, like
Gotcha.
plus or minus 5.
Who's this guy you're fighting?
His name's KSI.
Okay.
Real outstanding gentleman.
Great guy.
Yeah.
Tell me what you really think.
Did you see penguins though? I was actually curious about that.
So in the interior of Antarctica, there's nothing alive. There's no
Nothing?
wildlife. There's no trees. Obviously, there's nothing.
Just ice.
But on the edges of the continent, there are penguins. But I didn't see them where I was.
That's got to be a bit depressing. Was it worth it?
Was it worth it? The crossing?
Yeah, even though you didn't see penguins.
Yeah, I kind of want my money back. Actually,
Was there ever a moment where just like you're in this expansive white nothingness and you're like, wow, I'm in heaven? And then you realize, no, wait, I'm not dead yet.
I think it might have been this moment.
yeah, right there. That was the moment of complete bliss. No, but truthfully, actually, I tapped into some places in my mind that were very profound. I actually deleted almost all my content. So I didn't have podcasts, I didn't have music, pretty much was in silence the entire time and was able to kind of find these spaces in my mind, flow states, if you will, that really took me to some amazing places. For example, I could bring back all the memories from my childhood, but not like if I was like, hey man, do you remember when you graduated from high school and you like have a quick memory pop into your mind?
You were
and then
living
passing?
it.
Like I would be like there for like hours in that moment. Like this is what that person was wearing and this is what it looked like. And the wind was blowing, like lucid memory. So that was insane. And then the last bit, I was out there and actually was running really low on food. And I don't know if you guys knew this, but there was another guy attempting at the exact same time. So there was actually a race of sorts going on. I was a couple days ahead of him, but I wanted to finish this thing and I was 77 miles away. My average mileage had been about 15 miles per day pulling this sled. And I woke up, it was Christmas morning and I was like, I'm 77 miles away. This should probably be 3 or 4 days or something like that. And then all of a sudden I just clicked into this flow state in my brain where just everything felt strong and powerful. And I decided, you know what? I'm going to see if I can go without stopping completely to the end. The sun never sets here. And so I did the last final 77 miles in this 32-hour flow state push in my body and mind without sleeping.
Were you worried
stopping.
about that? Like, were you worried you might blow your load? Like, on the last day, dude, you're like, I'm gonna go for it and just drop dead.
It's funny,
big ass booger in your left nostril. Like that's how you go out, dude. They have to come grab you.
There was a moment when Jenna, my wife, she said to me, she was like, you're gonna finish this thing. You're gonna become the first. It's looking really good, unless you do something stupid like blow your load at the end. But I found this place in my mind, and maybe you can relate to this from some of the stuff you've done in triathlon. I don't know, but where you just are just
fraction.
You're locked in. Like I just knew it. It's crazy. Like I said, like bones are protruding. I was skinny. I was running out of food, and I was, a couple days before that kind of crying about how weak and scared I've been all these bad storms. I had a little bit of frostbite on my nose and fingertips at this point, but I just woke up that morning and I was like, oh wait, like. Boom, I've got it. I just found this place in my mind. And that's just another example of, like I said, of these sort of reservoirs of untapped potential, or these things that we can find inside of us where like you don't know where those edges are and you get to 53 days and you think I'm going to be declining so quickly. And I actually found the strongest moment of my entire life, perhaps, to push through 77 miles in one continuous push, which has really never been replicated in any sort of form in Antarctica.
It's like those moms that like lift cars off their kids or something, We
have so much strength inside of us. And we can, for me, that's cultivated around endurance sports, but I think you can cultivate that sort of passion, creativity in so many different directions.
Well, have you ever been to work hungover?
Yes.
A very similar situation.
Yeah.
Like you're like, I'm going to dig so fucking deep right now to get through this day. And you get into a flow state, and yes, it's clouded by bong resin, PBR, use condoms, whatever, but you fucking drill as hard as you can. And I pushed through 7-hour work days in the final stretch.
You sent at least 77 emails that day.
They were all 3 misspelled words, but
And you get that TPS report on the desk.
There you go, Rose.
Hey, don't lie to me. Did you ever hit a flow state during your Ironman?
For sure. Like at the end, if you look in the footage, my eyes are just crystal clear white. I'm like skinny. I'm like just like dead, but I'm still celebrating. Like, yeah, you have to, as long as you're pushing through some limit where you're like, oh my God, I'm not gonna be able to do this. But then you push beyond that and you like overcome that wall or that barrier.
Yeah, you hit the wall.
You break through that. That's where you can really tap in.
And I think maybe you've probably experienced this, doing an Ironman and things like that, but where time sort of changes, right? So for me, like the passage of time, there's moments when you're struggling and all the doubts going through your brain. You know, I remember actually the first day when I was in Antarctica, I couldn't barely pull my sled. And I was like, holy shit, I might not. I called my project The Impossible first. Literally the first day. I called my project The Impossible first. And after the first day, I was like, what? Called my wife. It's like, we may have named our project the right thing. It looks like it's impossible. But I was like, literally, I remember going, okay, I'm going to like try to get into this. I'm going to try to pull my sled. And I'm like pulling my sled. I'm like, okay, I'm in a good rhythm. I can barely pull the snow. It's about this and this. I look down at my watch. Been 4 minutes. Like I'm like, oh my God. But then conversely, with 32 hours, that was like, it went through in just like this, like sort of lucid days where I got in this space where like, you know, hours would tick off over time. And I'd just be like, just kind of comfortable in this and it would just be floating by. So it's weird how we can like 4 minutes can seem like a lifetime, but then 32 hours, can, you know, like just be, I don't know.
I was just writing about this. Like, I think a lot of the music we listen to, the content we consume, like the people we're surrounded with, it formulates a thought process that isn't us. But we think it's us because it's that voice inside.
For sure.
That is like constantly chattering whenever you try to be quiet. You know, you try to like go into a meditation, but you can't. And I think it requires something like that shock to your system, that shock to your paradigm to actually address it.
Have any of you guys, you or any of you, done meditation in any sort of meaningful way?
We've dabbled with it, but
You've like thrown the Headspace app on for like 30 seconds.
I did. I had it. I was paying $13 a month. Great app, by the way. But just like everything else in my life, I got bored. And
I'm gonna throw down a challenge here. I'm gonna throw down a challenge to you guys. You want
shit?
You know, it's not a physical challenge, but I think it will have the most profound growth if you have it. You're a hard worker, so it's probably hard to find 10 days. But 2011, my life changed when this girl came to my race, this Turkish woman who's married to a friend of mine. She doesn't know nothing about sports and sees me race one of my first professional triathlons and goes, you know, I see that this is actually more of a mental challenge that you're going through. You should meditate. And I'm like, cool, where do you think I should start? And she was like, well, there's these 10-day silent meditation retreats, completely silent, no reading, no writing, no eye contact, called Vipassana meditation. You may even discuss this, you may be aware of this, completely free to go.
We're aware.
And game changer. Like if you want to have more profound growth in your life than ever, young creators out there, who's ever's watching, I'm telling you, go find a Vipassana meditation course. It will change your life. It costs you nothing other than 10 days, which will be the most profound investment you can make in your life, period, no matter what you're trying to cultivate.
Didn't you do that, Andre?
All
you
right.
did two 10 days?
What was it? Did it change your life?
Absolutely.
Look, I'm gonna do it.
You gotta do it, man.
I'm gonna fucking do it.
Let's do it.
Here.
Let's
You
book
heard
it in the
here.
schedule.
All of us? All of us go there?
Hell
You
yeah.
think me and Mike can be silent for 10 days next to each other? Yeah, we're fucking
10
right.
seconds, dude.
Hell
Literally,
yeah.
yeah,
we would,
right.
But that
You
said,
have to,
but
though.
that said, we would get it done because that's
Because
what
you're
we do.
disciplined. You do it. You know, but I'm saying, if you guys can do this, what you guys are doing, I know there's something inside of you that's like, when we set our minds to something, we're actually going to do it.
Discipline,
Not together,
discipline.
though. No
Maybe not
chance.
together.
No, discipline.
Doing what you guys do every day, creating content, all the shit you guys do, it might
It's
seem all
not
fun and games. I
discipline.
know
What
it's
it
hard
is,
work.
what it is I hate fucking losing, bro. I can't.
That's why I got to throw it down as a challenge. Can you do it? I don't think you can do it.
I can do it.
I don't think you can do it. I don't think you can either. I don't think you can either.
They said I couldn't go vegan because I love steak. I made a whole month.
Whole month? That's longer than 10 days.
That is, yeah.
Fuck.
That's just math.
This is bad. Is there any way I could just simply pay you to take that challenge back?
10 days of silence. I'm
Hey,
going to
we
miss you
should
on the
do it. When
podcast,
should we
but you're
do
going to
it?
come back. There's one in Joshua Tree, not far.
Really?
Yeah.
We should do it and document it and then make a YouTube video about it.
Well, who's
So we see
documenting
it.
it?
I'll document it.
You gotta be silent.
Yeah, I can. Do I have to talk while I press record? Like,
What do you do? What do you do the whole time? Can I get massages?
No.
What?
What do you do?
The entire day is the exact same. Andre knows this. And basically what it is, they wake you up at 4:30 in the morning. They ding this gong. Then you meditate. Basically, it's about 12 hours a day of meditation, but there's 3 main 1 hours where you're in the hall. There's a meditation hall where you're near other people, so you're sitting on the ground, but obviously no one's talking. And then there's only 2 meals in the day, so you only get to eat twice. You don't eat after sort of midday until the following day. And the rest of the time, you're either meditating in the hall or your room, and you can be outside outside a little bit, walking around to kind of stretch your legs and stuff. But it's pretty focused meditation in complete silence. So no reading, no writing, no eye contact. As you even, the food is prepared for you. It's a very simple vegetarian diet. But normally you'd like say like scoop some rice on your plate or beans, and like a guy standing behind you, like normal thing to do would be like hand the guy the spoon, right? But in this sense, you're supposed to act as if you are completely alone. So you just be like, scoop that, set it back down.
Who tells
you're
you
in silence?
Who tells you that's how you do
There's
it?
a little orientation like before it starts where obviously someone's talking to you.
Okay,
Then it's the schedule is written on the wall. But the meditation itself is guided. And so basically at the beginning of each one of these 1 hour segments, there'll be like 3 or 4 minutes of, instruction as it's progressive. So first it's an awareness of breath, and then it gets kind of deeper into the practice as you go. And then 1 hour at night, there's what's called a discourse, which is sort of the teacher kind of giving you a little bit of a download on, you're not speaking to him, but they're giving you a little bit of kind of instruction on what the next day looks like, some allegories, something like that. But it's in silence, man. I mean, other than a few people talking to you about meditation, and even in those hours, it's not like they're talking, it's not like Headspace where he's talking to you the whole time it's guided. It's like a couple of minutes and then boom, the room's dead silent for an hour.
Most important question, and I'll just ask it for Logan. What are the Wi-Fi up and downs?
Yeah.
And
upload
what
speed.
and most importantly, what is the schedule around uploading?
Yeah, that's I think right after the tea break in the evening, it's
Okay,
the
fine.
YouTube vlogging break,
Fantastic.
which is that's the modern day
Fantastic.
version of the Buddhism.
I wonder if we could upload.
No. If I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do it right.
Yeah.
The
We're
one,
gonna
the
do
other,
it, we're gonna do
the
it.
other
We're
reason
doing
why I like things like this is because I know that everything in life that takes time, like I can just imagine what day 11 feels like when you walk out of that bitch and you're literally levitated above the ground. I walk into the club and I'm just like this. And I'm just like fucking levitating. Girls are like, you look like you haven't spoken in days.
I got a couple stories to tell. I got 2 stories to tell that you like. So my first time, I go, my stepdad drives me out there. I mentioned my stepdad before. He's an amazing guy in my life. He drives me to the place an hour north of Portland. There's a center. And I have 5 older sisters, big family. I'm the baby boy. And he's like, yo, I have never heard you shut up a single second in your life. So you can go there for an hour, but I'm going to leave the car running in the parking lot. When you realize this is a terrible idea, just come back out. I'm still going to be here. But similar to you, when someone throws out a challenge, I'm like, no, I'm staying. And I'm so glad I did. But the second of all is my wife. We've done it together a couple of times. Obviously, the men and women are segregated. You're by yourself, but concurrently at the same time. And so the last time we did it, actually, we came out of the meditation at the exact same time. So could speak again for the first time. And we went immediately and drove up to Banff, Canada. So without really talking to anybody else, we drove straight up to Banff. And so we were still on this kind of, silent meditation vibe, just the two of us in our own little bubble. And the connectedness that we felt with one another, the conversation, the depth. I mean, it's almost like rolling your face off at Coachella. It's on that level of depth.
Really?
I'm serious.
sure.
On the most natural of natural ways of just like this vibration, this connectedness that I've never experienced in any other ways, running around Burning Man, other things I've done. But like being in that space was profound. And to share that with somebody else or the girls in the club that see you levitating, either way, there's a...
Well, they say monks and like people who are spiritually enlightened, they don't take any hallucinogenics, but yet they have the ability to tap into those same
supposedly
you're on hallucinogenics
than anyone else.
in an
100%.
instant, like
Yeah.
whenever you want.
100%.
Which
It
is
takes
like
a little,
that.
It takes a little more work than just going,
Right.
taking a little pill. But it is a level even deeper.
Like that to me, by the time I'm in my 30s, like and just inside, something's driving me to have to experience that, to like set down all substances, get away from all the things that you're attached to in reality, and find a way to tap into that.
Yeah. And I think actually what you said before it reminded me of this when you said, look, if I lost everything right now, I just had a tree, like I could chop wood, I can be that in the simplicity. And for me, I have a lot of things going on in my life, a lot of abundance, amazing things. I'm just as addicted to social media, my iPhone as the average person. But going through that and realizing that I can be happy with nothing in the simple stillness of my brain has given me so much strength to take risk in my life to say like, hey, I'm going to try to start that business. I'm going to cultivate that idea. Because if this doesn't go wrong, worst case scenario,
like
I'm still me and I'm good.
Yep.
And that confidence is like unrivaled in the sort of the potency of it.
You talk about social media addiction. I did an interesting little math problem yesterday. I was on the plane and I was curious because I was spending like an hour. I think the average person right now on Instagram is spending like an hour 15 or more
On just that app.
on
Logan,
just
on
Instagram.
Logan Paul's page.
On Logan Paul's page.
Only on Logan Paul's
Looking at
page.
Broly
I have a
Blue.
lot of pictures.
which is makes sense. So if you were to add that up into 50 years of consumption on Instagram, say we're using Instagram all the way into our 50s and 60s, which we probably will, because that's our native platform, our way of consuming content. So if we're to use it for just 1 hour per day for 50 years, that's 2 years of our life. Just scrolling
Depressing.
on a phone.
It's a
2
long
years.
time, dude.
Like, so think about that. That's insane. Like, make that content, make that 2 years of your life that you're about to spend. Like, you just don't see it in that chunk of time.
10 days doesn't seem like a lot when you put it in that perspective.
Yeah.
10 days is nothing.
And that's just one app, remember? Because
Exactly.
the average
And that's a
iPhone
very
user
modest-
probably uses their phone for
It's a
5.
very modest,
Yeah.
it could be 3 years, could be 4 years. Like 1 hour a day. That's very modest. Like, people are consuming 2-3 hours of social media a day.
Hey, don't hate me,
I'm not.
but so what?
I mean, if we go with that attitude, our future is looking a little interesting because we're starting to give up our power. We're saying,
Are we?
I don't need to tap it. Why do I need to? Because I can just be bored. I can just consume this instead of empowering each other, instead of changing the world, instead of upgrading civilization. There's going to be people that just fall off.
Well, it's funny because he goes devil's advocate, which is cool, but he also is a firm, has talked, or at least been a pretty big believer in the cyborg. We're becoming cyborgs.
Of course, we might as well be.
Might as well be,
That's
right?
not implanted in our brains. And every single one of us basically is like right connected to it. Every single one of us sitting up here.
But counter Spencer's point, there are people out there who would say Arab Spring was born out of Twitter. The only reason Arab Spring happened was because of Twitter. You know what I'm saying? And there's a lot.
I'm sorry. What is that?
The rights for Arabs and Arab countries grew from an uprising that started on Twitter, and those demonstrations were born and crafted and cultivated on Twitter, right?
Well, the social media is like a beautiful tool
when used properly.
When used properly. Like what I do
to
right
actually
now.
be social.
Exactly.
Right?
Right, exactly.
What I do right now is I've muted everybody that isn't positive.
At least you didn't unfollow us again, dude.
Exactly.
'Cause that sucked.
'Cause
I'll
I
be
like-
honest, man.
Yeah.
I don't.
I thought that was awesome.
I don't want to be a dick because it's still a great platform to network. It's still a great platform to consume content. It's an amazing tool, but if we don't use it and respect it as an amazing tool, it becomes an addiction. So
the way that I've looked at it, so during my Antarctica crossing, my other projects, I've actually used social media a lot because I think it's an amazing way to tell stories. I'm no Logan Paul on the internet, but I was the first person in history to Snapchat from the summit of Mount Everest,
I did
which
see
was
that. Yeah.
the most viewed Snapchat story of the year.
33 million or so?
Yeah,
Let's
in
go.
2016.
Wow.
So anyways, and then also in Antarctica, I carried, even though I was cutting weight, I carried this little satellite modem where I could upload images to that. And because I think as humans, even going back to caveman days, long before the internet, we're wired for storytelling. It's how we are inspired. It's how we consume things. However, the difference being that my reason for doing that isn't to be the athlete in the arena like, yo, guys, I'm going to do something no one in history's ever done. Watch me do this. The way that I share my content is say like, hey, I'm doing this. What can you do? Like what in your life can you take from this and to be inspired? And so all the DMs that I get now that inspire the hell out of me are someone's like, yo, I watched you cross Antarctica and I finally started that business that I always wanted to. Or I leaned into my relationship in another way. Or I went and did that meditation course. Or things that people said took something from it, took a proactive step in their lives. And so I think to your point about social media, just the mindless scrolling and the like comparing yourself to others and all that, like that, of 2 years of that, like that's really sad. But using it as a platform in this digital age to go like, wow, we can inspire others. We can speak to millions of people all at the same time.
Yeah.
In that sense, it's a beautiful thing that we've never seen before. And so to me, it's finding that balance. And I try to use the platform in that way to sort of share my ideas or sort of, because I'm inspired as a hell as other people's stories that inspire me, like that's how I get fired up as well.
Yeah.
So I think that's beautiful.
I think there's an opportunity to, for all creators, if there's any creators watching this, you don't have to take this like massive approach to like being inspiring in every piece of your content, but roll something into your storytelling. I've talked very, very little about my struggles with addiction and overcoming that. I've talked about it on the show, maybe 30 seconds at a time here and there. And the amount of DMs I've gotten from people that have said, yo, knowing where you came from and how bad you were, sleeping on floors and all of the horrible things you went through, and seeing where you are now inspired me to give up opiates today.
Yeah.
The first person that I heard that from hit my heart so fucking hard.
Sure.
And I've gotten dozens now. and I hope everyone's staying on the right path. But like, I rolled in such a little amount of that storytelling and it inspired people. So yeah, was that a penis? Yeah, there.
No, I was just.
I just think I think there's always an opportunity to roll some of that inspirational storytelling or like your life tale into your content,
and we were talking about before about having that sort of 360 image of a person, that multi-dimensional layers of being like, yo, I've made mistakes, but I've learned from it. Or, that is where people can actually relate. Because if you're just sitting here going like, oh yeah, I'm here, everyone watch me, I'm super cool. You're like, well, what was your journey for getting there? Or like, if I'm like, oh, I'm a world-class athlete, I have 4 world records, done shit that no one's ever done. It's like, okay, well, but then you're like, oh, but I got burned in the fire and I made these mistakes. And I did. And it's like, oh, wait, that's a full and complete story.
Yes.
And that's where we connect to that vulnerability and the depths, because everyone can see themselves at some part of the arc of that story, whether that's in the depths of opiate struggle right now or seeing themselves getting out of that, whatever that is. And that, that's how I think that does bond us as a fabric of humanity. And that used to be just shared, by minstrels or the, storytellers walking around the medieval times all the way through now. We just share it differently now, but it is destructive in other ways, as I think we both agree upon.
I think that's a new wave. Too.
Yeah, using social media the right way.
Yeah.
And consuming it the right way. It's funny. The top comment on our last podcast by Neon Noah. Dear Logan Paul, if you see this comment, tell Charlie he may have just saved my life with this podcast. I'm an overweight kid who is bullied in school and I have very few friends. Each day I pray that I make it out of school alive. This podcast inspired me to think about school in a different way. Tomorrow I'm going to try my hardest to ignore all the bullies. Also to hear about how Charlie and Mike both came back from 300 plus pounds makes me want to do something about my weight and not let it get worse. And there's more but like, thank you for having Charlie on today. He is my new best friend and I don't even know him. But like,
That's real. That's
real as fuck. And I have these moments with things that I watch, and that's like where I, like, as a product of social media, almost like this is the stuff that I am attached to. And I'm
scroll up just a little bit too.
I'm afraid just because we got hit with an ad and this girl's looking at me.
Well, not
weird.
all the way up.
Okay.
You can go down a little bit. So 156,000 views. That compared to millions of views, like, what's more impact? I think that's something that, I like to pay attention to these comments and when people say this stuff, because this is, obviously this is a new video. That's actually really good engagement, but the videos that aren't getting millions of views are sometimes the ones that are the most impactful that actually move people to do.
And I think when you look back, obviously you're making scalable impact. And like you said, there's dozens of DMs, I get, the same thing, thousands of responses like this that are amazing. But like, forget about all that. Like, one dude right there is like, yo, what you guys put in the world, like, saved my life today. Thank you. Like that, crazy. There's no like, that or scalable millions that, like, just the one impact level that is extraordinary, right?
I also think, speaking of social media, it being used the right way, I'm also not sure we are on the right path. This is a video that came out last week. I don't know if you've seen this.
I did see this.
This is
Put
fucking
it up
weird.
there. This is so weird.
This is a chimpanzee scrolling through Instagram.
Scrolling the gram.
Like, doing it right.
Like, swiping left and right to make photos bigger.
Yeah.
And he's on Tarzan's page, who we had on the podcast. But this is terrifying. I just don't know about all this.
Oh, touching snakes.
This can't be good, Mike. How does he know? What the fuck?
I just don't know.
He's double tapping.
It's funny to me because that's like actually how the majority of people scroll social media. Like, their
same
face is
way.
right next
They're
to
like, ooh, ass. Ooh, double tap for ass.
Look at, dude. That's the face of a social media addicted chimpanzee.
That's what you look like right now, looking at your phone, watching this episode. That's exactly what you look like.
Hey, you got a heart out, yeah?
Yeah, I got a roll.
A hard on?
What is it?
I got a hard on.
Oh,
No,
hard
out.
Hard out. Oh, okay.
I'm actually. I'm gonna throw this out there to see if you guys know who this is. But I'm actually speaking on a panel in 2 hours. With a guy by the name of Gene Simmons. Anyone know
Hell
who
yeah.
that is in this room?
34 years old. Of
Okay.
course I know.
The guy's a legend. I just didn't know if, like, that didn't. Literally the lead singer of Kiss. One of the most notable
Incredible.
rock bands of all time.
That's awesome.
So I'm going to do that.
Where's that?
At the Milken Conference. It's downtown Beverly
Oh,
Hilton.
at the Milk. That's a
Yeah.
big. What's the dude's name? that runs it?
Yeah, Michael Milken.
Michael
John
Milken.
Milken, yeah.
I mean, a lot of people would say that's a very highbrow speaking engagement, but it's not the Impulsive podcast. So I had to make sure to come here first.
True.
It's going to kind of just my day is just really tailing off after this.
Do you have to leave at noon? Is that your
Yeah,
hideout?
noon, yeah,
Okay,
exactly.
all right. We're going to go audio only. Real quick Q&A with Colin O'Brady. Bro, thank you for coming on this podcast. You're awesome, dude. Congratulations on all your success.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, bro. Where can they find you on social media?
At Colin O'Brady is my Instagram. That's the main place. My website, colinobrady.com. Got all the stuff. I'm working on a book right now. So when that comes out, that'll all be on the website.
What's
on
the title?
gram. To be determined.
Let's go.
But it looks
working
like it's going to be
title.
the first. What was it?
The Impossible
The
First.
Impossible
That was the
First.
name of my project. So, working title still, but that should be out early next year. But yeah, check me out. And also all my speaking engagements and things like that are on my website. But the gram's the best way to get me at Colin O'Brady.
Very cool. We appreciate you, brother. Audio only, Spotify, iTunes right now. We're going to get juicy. I love you. Hit that subscribe button. Take it easy, man. Peace.
Because I believe that it really comes down to a muscle that we can all flex, not the one between our legs, but the one between our ears, the 6 inches between our ears. And how we flex and develop that determines our superhuman abilities, and we can all do that. So,
And let me ask you something.
Yes.
Do you really believe that?
I do believe
You believe
that.
everyone has that superhuman in them?
I think that people have extraordinary capabilities in us, and even myself have nowhere near found the limits of my own potential.